This piece is it's hard-hitting, it's kind of graphic, it can be gory to brutal. We're asking you to remain. We present the research and findings, and that's where it's graphic and brutal, even introduction, but asking you to remain because don't want nobody leaving on a down or depressed note. Stay for the recommendations and the conclusions, and you leave, hopefully you'll leave on a note of hope, because it's kind of like years ago, we had a class, our college came, it was Sociology of Contemporary Society, and we went to all these different agencies. It was in the Tenderloin, the other part of San Francisco, but the one that really got us depressed was when we went to the arraignments. And it didn't make no difference if the judge was conservative or liberal. Okay, next case, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty. Okay, next case, okay, next case. And just, I remember we were all sitting in the room saying, man, it's like, we're defeated, you know, what are we gonna do? So I'm asking everybody to, you know, please remain, and so we leave on a note of hope. And the other side is the name of the piece is entitled, Sylvester do that. But like my professor Eugene Redmond, the writer, poet, social activist, he used to say, nothing can begin until the drum speaks.
Report Concerning Black on Black Anger in Poetic Format by Charles Blackwell. The preface. So what is poetry? Poetry is the fire itself and the blades of grass that sprouts up days later, up from the burn. We do so much to prevent fires because they are dangerous and cannot be controlled. However, in our efforts to control it, we make the environment that much more ripe for fire. We make fires inevitable. Poetry is just such a fire. It is a fire that burns without sinking the skin.
Charles Blackwell, the epitome of black on black anger, is just such a fire. It is fire that burns, and its smoke speaks of the psychological anger that permeates much of the black community. Charles is asking us to look in the mirror and confront our greatest enemy, ourselves.
For you have done me worse than the Klansmen, for I knew who they were with hoods on red horses, even with sheets covering on blood. But your mask is a collision colliding into my soul, causing me kindness to beg at the door of evil.
I interpret these lines to mean that the black man himself is his own worst enemy. We know what to expect from the Ku Klux Klan, but we do not expect to be double-crossed by members of our own community. Our brothers are supposed to be our brothers, right? Yet we know a man cannot live on expectations, especially when people wear masks. Blackwell's lines, "But your mask," alludes back to Paul Laurence Dunbar. We wear masks and the deception that often plays out in the game of life.
Especially where money and real estate is concerned. If we expect unity, black unity, we are often disappointed. Charles' poem scratches deeper and is trying to give us a microscopic look at black anger. Is black anger different than anger itself? Not always, but sometimes it is different based on the psychological pressures that black people face. Let us look at why this might be.
If this poem were art on canvas, we know it would look one way 10 feet away and another 3 feet away. Is black on black anger different in America than it is in Africa? Yes, for so too many reasons it is this. This begins with the African American's acknowledgement of self. And once this is done, one must then contemplate matters with race. The African American's perception of his own radical profile in America is a key component to his own awareness of self. Webster's New College Dictionary defines apperception.
1. Conscious perception with full awareness. 2. The process of understanding by which newly observed qualities of an object is related to past experience. The object for the black man in America is his skin color. He is fully aware of it because he had to be. This is because black people in America had to be aware of what white people think. He had to be aware of this if he was to survive 400 years of slavery.
400 years of slavery, 400 years of the niggifying of African peoples in America. In Africa, the black man is not consumed with race, but more concerned with his tribe or religion. Why should he be concerned with it when many of the population centers in Africa are predominantly black? The black man in Africa sees himself as the universal self, as the Chinese would in China or the Indians in India. Race is not an African construction, it is a European one. However, the black man cannot easily escape the parameters of the race in the United States. The black man has been mentally tattooed, branded, and whipped with race in America.
Not only then is the black man concerned with the perceptions of whites have of blacks, but also his relying on the unity of his own people to survive and thrive in spite of race and to assemble with his own people to confront it. Thus, when members of his own group fall short of this desired or expected unity, conflict and friction occurs. This friction and anger in the black community is what this book is all about. It is as if Charles Blackwell deciphers some of the encyclopedic variations of anger within the black community. Let us take another look. But Lilo Henry grew blacker, bigger and blacker, now bigger with anger.
Echoes of Richard Wright's native son. Do many of our young black youth continue to play the role of Bigger Thomas in our own communities? Does America expect much more of black men today than they did in the 1940s? What does a black man expect of himself? These are some of the questions that come to mind when I read the lines of Blackwell's work.
The paper said he forced Ernest to get on his knees and beg for his life. And as for Ernestine, Lyle Henry slit her throat 7 times. When she uses it, Ernestine's blood is still on it, good enough to create an affection in a cycle that won't be broken. On January 1st, 2004, Jill Livy and Doug Smith wrote an article in the LA Times about the number of unsolved murders in Central and South Los Angeles. This quote from the one article best exemplifies the cycle that won't be broken. As a result, the Los Angeles Police Department South Bureau, which patrols most of this part of the city, has accumulated a backlog of more than 2,400 unsolved homicides over the last 15 years.
This describes the terror of lawlessness, retaliation, and violence that plagues urban centers throughout the United States. If the police cannot solve these murders, where do people turn? They remain silent and the cycle continues because we have seen quite a few instances where police departments cannot be trusted. The anger in the black community is like a raging fire, and then you put gasoline on top of it with the recent deaths of unarmed black men. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Walter Scott, etc. This poetic report is a looking glass for us to see ourselves and for us to take a close look at black anger. And what we realize is that we can't only turn to the police or the government to fix this. We have to turn to each other to improve our own communities and demand that the government and police try to do right by us. And now we have a whole generation of young black men who are being forced to face the harsh realities of black life in the United States. What do we learn from all this? Reality whips everyone's behind, but you are not supposed to keep your butt in the same place. We have to get our sitter out the seat figuratively. and play our little part in the big picture of confronting issues that plague the Black community. And this is precisely what we must try to do, break that cycle. Perhaps after reading and contemplating the numerous scenarios in Charles Curtis Blackwell's poem, we can learn to have a bit more patience with each other.
Research and findings. The epitome of black on black anger, a sociological presentation in poetic fashion. The bottle, liquor bottle, growing ice in the blazing hot heat of summer's August. All I need is jagged, broken chaos of the bottle to grip. With the sweat of my hands steaming, waiting to cut this motherfucker cold.
In a cell, escape from cell block. Humming to the mood indigo of the moonlight over Vermont. Let me visit the one who did me in for a fistful of dust and a jarring smile. Laugh again and the narcotics of that evaporates from your rusted pores. For I need you to hate me. I need to feel your every bite, your every little bitter bite. For you have done me worse than the Klansmen with hoods on red horses. For I knew who they were, even with sheets covering on blood. But your mask, a collusion colliding into my soul, causing my kindness to beg at the door of evil, wandering for days through the city's desert. Now I missed you, and how I missed you.
So in your disguise, departing waters fill my lips of liquor bottle, until the glass melts in my hand, boiling over my skin. But even so, with breath I will dust you, moonlight lingering.
Tell me another lie as I lay here with you, your breast of beast, succulent to the touch, almost about to captivate my cock, blaring so much over the trumpet Louis Armstrong tooted on. And will he take you on to your death? Will he play for your shame to me, lying bitch of a whore strung out? Thoughts mingle selfish, which roams through my ear, causing my membrane to abort. Is it compassion for your filth? Die, worthless lover, die. Before me, the nigger that was a fool enough to give, takes your life in hand and crushes your ass against a railroad tie, where chain gauge workers once wept. And before I do come to you immersed in anger.
Let me slip in once more. Let me grind on the pussy, make you moan for your own wretchedness, for now it has become light to the survivor. Either I kill you before you kill me, and we have been at war with each other. Even before we met, even before we heard Lewis playing a requiem of Mahalia, and that was way before we met, we like some wee mannequin or magician sit on the porch looking for crows to cast dice. Favors of greed's delight, winner take all, away from burning trees that sweep our homes of glass to see through the clearing flames to come. My own prison built up, different from yours. You can have yours, I got my own. Blood hugging the bars. Do you remember when we used to sit on the last pew on the old church house, giggling at those strange sermons? Messages to God spoken by stranger, looking for a place to hide. I who we are now incurable, like blood dripping the broken liquor bottle, your blood in hope of before you could kill me alive, like a fish and fried, like bullets flying, like a knife cutting flesh, slicing my hatred into two, a cell, a bacteria, an ambium. Two become four, the blues become sacred. To the touch of a stringless guitar, could I wonder how many angry souls have I influenced, how many have I killed one another, with no fear of the sermon running through their sweaty hands, pressing for the truth in defiance of a lover's agenda, a tarnished menu forsaken for self-preservation.
She kissed me with honey smooth as satin, tongue of touch to the rose pebbles, the same as she left it, but Lyle Henry grew blacker. Bigger and blacker, now bigger with anger. His hand could hold the sharpness of a razor and not bleed. The paper said he forced Ernest to get on his knees and beg for his life, but he would not. And as for Ernestine, Lyle Henry slit her throat 7 times. And with Ernest bleeding over the rain-soaked kisses and Lila still, the razor shines in the trash can, oiled by blood and unforgiveness. About to be used for another execution. Now that 2 children have found her in a Chicago alley. Look, Mama, what we found. And she is tired of her man beating her one eye blue, accusing her affections of leaving, across the street and down the avenue. When she uses it, Ernestine's blood is still on her, good enough to create an affection and in a cycle that won't be broken.
It was down by the river when fish was being fried. It was down by the river where I toted that pistol with one intention, to let my woman know I was a man. To let my woman know I was a man. Down by the riverside, where the fish was being fried, with smoke steaming a mile high. Gush of smoke and fish in the fury. In my mind I see, I ain't to blame. She swayed with the wind, bending her ass towards the sun, grinning, going down, near river's edges where they was found. He looked at her thigh, and she brushed against his side. I saw it all, down by the riverside, with 7 children humming, fish in hand. Their last supper before her flower dress, the one I bought her, to sway alongside the river. I shot her down by the riverside. The children saw me doing what a man was supposed to do, with fish grease popping and knees dropping, down by the river, where I shot them both dead.
Grind hard against the rock, earth, Willie C. emerges with gas and smoke. Hot links flying in the wind. Tells her, you ain't nothing a bear would look at. You is what Monday rush hour traffic don't even see. She, Dorothea, tells him inside grown wrestles with the agony of sick love, toppled over strain and pain. Well, if I was as dumb as you, I'd imitate a bullfrog and leap backwards. You frog-eyed bitch, he yells, knocking over the glasses of beer on the counter. His one fist grazes her left cheek, taking meat with it. Over and done. The other 5 people back up. Some holding vodka, brandy on the rocks, ginger ale, and the glasses on the counter. Dorothea's head hit the floor, and one customer speaks. Her head bounced. Willie C. looked around at them while holding her by the neck. Any of y'all fuck with me, I'll beat the fuck out of you too. They listened with enchantment, having never been cared for before. She groans with dripping pain. Willie C. in a gentle commander in lather and soaked speech. Get the fuck up. And she rises.
The sound of a money jingle, falling downward like Niagara Falls. Falling, yes, falling to that jukebox playing Lowell Folsom. Falling over yonder. Next tune is Ike and Tina Turner. Blue Black Craze, sing Storm Blazer. With the hook arm hand cry, I am done, well done.
Kathy, crazy enough to bet her money and win. The 2 fighters in the ring roam about dancing to fill each other out. In the terror of one punch, guess who? Kathy sips her beer with her medication first to go down slow, knowing she never won nothing. 20 folks at the Shields Bar in the humidity of St. Louis. Woman crazed, me smooth. Smooth enough to glide over to South Carolina in the smoke of sermon, to serenade those green pastures, smiley tans, a TKO before the last lost punch. Kathy thought she had won. Her emotions rang out of her teeth, biting on the cigarette hard. No man to comfort her after this last split second. That son of a bitch threw the right, just before the bell, and Kathy fell hard. St. Louis woman, yells Jimmy Russian. Okay, long before the jukebox could hold Ike and Blue Black Tina. Okay, baby, pay up, he said in such a flamboyant manner. His blue collar smoke hanging over, his blue black muscles like an angel of death. From Louisiana swamp bottoms, uprooting bigger Tommies, her buttocks twitch from her anger of self. To the deep, compassionate hatred of men, like the one she stabbed 7 years prior. Telling her to fuck or get the fuck out. The crowd laughed with blue-collared smoke, building shame in the guilt, hate in the self, and ridicule of the compassionate pride. Smile can be so deceiving. Like temptation singing, like the temptation with such meaning. Smiling faces, pretend to be your friends. Kathy came out the purse, with finger on the trigger instead of a roll of 20s. Rang the telephone up, rang a cloud of smoke, rang another ring of the phone. Ring rang those bullets as Kathy blasted away blue collar blue. Black lightning at the laughter of blues people. JT rose up, a businessman at the 6th bullet has been fired, and then fear struck. Coupled with sadness, someone else already rang the police. You can hear the siren blowing in the wind.
The funeral hearse, luxurious and shining to the fur, to the skin, to the sorrow, to the will I know. Mahalia begs for us to touch our soul, to let God speak to our ending, to our beginning. And in this new young singer's voice, squirming from underneath this newfound ghetto breeze, enduring. No more weeping, weeping and wailing. She sings like an ice-shattered sickle sliding to the smooth melt. No more weeping, weeping and wailing. That diamond ring raised high to stretch her fragrance, the same as Mahalia, a twitch in the ear and worried stiff to see that the body riding behind the black hearse, the last ride, the last supper, in her mind, in my mind, speaks of wants. Preacher man raised his hand so high upward to escape through the sky, where the pillars meet, desires and lobes of ceiling trapped, and it is moving as the deep waters, just as moving as this new young Mahalia squirming through this ghetto breeze. The clock strikes 1 o'clock, jump, the weeping begins. To sermon blending with the sermon of God, a spiritual house, Jesus our helper in a song for all of the precious souls, and as in precious Lord, there is more weeping and a wailing. One could feel Mahalia being resurrected. They opened the casket and asked for any closing remarks. In a diplomatic fashion, Alberta and Alfred James came forward and announced that the will is not valid. We found a new will last night in a shoebox in the closet. You a lying bitch from hell, someone, a cousin or sister shouts. A razor is slung that quick, greased light. One of the sisters charged after Alberta, not singing amen, hollering, you ain't getting shit. The brother comes to her aid of his sister with fists flying. A pallbearer tries to guard the dead, but his weight is shoved against the casket, which is knocked over. Dead men rolling over. A shoe is thrown, a fist fly, cousin against sister, brother against auntie, uncle against nephew. Eyes blue, black, and bloody, fists grazed with bits of flesh, a money cash money on loan. Pallbearers bruised, beaten with brass knuckles, preacher with teeth missing. The new year, upcoming Mahalia with broken jaw, her arm slit. Farewell, farewell, someone crawling underneath the pews. In the will I know runs elsewhere, past the troubled waters. Greed, raging evil of itself, continues for the length of 3 rounds. None of the sermon was heard. A brand new suit cut up like new thread. 2 pews broken, ribs broken, but the mind stayed on money. Even fought inside the paddy wagon for reasons of want. As in, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. No one dead other than he who rolled out of the casket. Some in serious condition, hoping their hatred would heal them. The janitor, after observing from afar in wisdom, remarks, these niggas didn't come for no funeral.
The tools of remorse set in metal. All our India's third abortion and with pain. In the immediate, just get rid of it. Or better yet, you should have known better. Flowers on the wallpaper, she didn't notice that either. Only the cost. Michael wondered only if it could have been cheaper. He had bought her a car only a month prior to her vomiting spell. The computer calculated the edge. He has a good job. And so does Raheem. Milk for the mama. To match the conquest of capitalistic exploits. It would have been aborted. Doctor remarks in a cold comic relief. Down the hatch as in down the river, which once led up from slavery. We have overcome. All our render can continue to milk. To 2 lovers or associates or partners as such. Play me for the pocket, cold and metal, steel clamps, release me to the dust snorting, for an ease of memory, to the dust of the pitiful. Now it's easy to live with no pain, to remember my flesh.
When self-hatred is poured over alcohol, it burns. Narcotics mixed with the same vapor that brings forth a new reality. That love can't cure.
Your mama wasn't nothing but a shameless hussy. The grits conform the edge of the plate, made in Japan 40 years ago and handed down tranny. Down the line, down the Mississippi to St. Louis, where hook bites the cold in search of work. But drugs come first and the foremost to release the pain, to soothe the anger of the venom, the challenge of weapon to kill or to destroy with the bite of the bullet. So Hook hit him with a pipe. A stranger in the cold now dreaming and remarked, it is, mama. Probably wasn't nothing but a shameless hussy. The dealer raises his price and Hook raises his pipe to steal, to steal. Feel the bullet, Hook, embrace it in anger. So costly, let it sit there until your auntie arrives to deny who you are.
The hostile words exchanged in a riff of pride bellowing the dissent. The knife drips sharp passages. orange juice with it, African cayenne pepper perhaps. He bit the dirt on the homeless shelter floor, embarrassed and reduced to shame, his skin beginning to rot in the brown, turning black, turning blue. No one takes responsibility, just a simple act of terrorism overshadowed as group therapy. Dust sticks to his lip, atop the carrot pie for dinner donated by the Muslim bakery, Wonder Bread donated, Too Hard, Day Old, and oak, and roaches and a rat patiently awaits. The mourners stand, once friends in passing, comrades, good enough for a cigarette. A siren sounds in the trumpet, the call is sounded. She weeps before the sheep becomes a part of her, and her other lover is now free to take what is hers.
His yuppie friend Brian couldn't handle the agony of her mother's screaming blackness. In his capitalistic, demented soul, ice falls on the morning. He had already figured out a way to kill her. Double Dutch, pass line, cracks, collect, insurance ride on the loose brakes. Old as the hills of San Francisco, red light working. Turn street, pork, barbecue ribs simmering to the fall. The nervous twitch of the cop is comforted by theatrics played by the son, incooperative. I told her to take the car to the shop, but she never would spend any money. 7 days times 7, days times 7, cash money that feels like mink fur in July. A self-help book to improve the mind, bent on fire, bent on line. Taunted rehearsals, telling tales to cousins, another self-improvement book to eliminate the conscious. Acquire more mind power, a sip of 20-year-old brandy. I ride home and sleep in mama's bed.
A crumb becoming smeared, rested by slave hands, moistened to slave touch, peace and agony as lies the president raining forth to carry you home, an ecstasy where the violence becomes a fact of life, a truth becomes the lie. After the fact, and researched the sunny side of innocence until proven guilty. She, Cassandra, sat thumping marbles against a stone wall, and he, Elroy, sat counting pennies, all in a day's fortune, robbery to the mouth, self-inflicted greed. Before that mule-drawn AFDC check arrived, she just couldn't do without it. A bottle of rum or vodka and a payment for your kindness. Of hot stolen meat for the same old fencing operation. Lust of the eye moving blindness to the darkness, trailing of steel bars gleaming in the dark and shining to the touch. At the loss of self is where remorse is forgotten, transfigured by justice. Cell, blocks of ice, cell block, bars crisscross, the mind unreasonable in a state of greedful lust. Gimme got drowned in a cesspool of want and envy, came home for a second bout.
Swans freeze while rats are approaching to feed on that other dead bird. The Sacramento Symphony builds up in a crescendo of sorts. The rats finish the last little bit of a vulture's foot. The funeral was easy for the entire family to take. She devised a way to kill her brother, more cake, more cookies, heavy on the icing. Every sugar in the coffee, and in a way the sugar diabetic brother goes. And the sister screams her Hail Mary. As the symphony roams in her head, yet she continues to count the insurance monies and still thumping, day-old blood included. The passageway north led west. The hideout south, where the memory leads us, in a stick of a blood-soaked change, gasping for home. Honey drinks mutter. Congo drums beat for our soothing reign of terror, which follows the rhythm of rum down the hour of escaping feet. Hollow is the drum call, bleeding for the sky to fall on us, to fall on this shining blade. In the night of suicide, the placing in someone else is having murdered my brother.
A desperate drip of sweat ushers forth to the oak pew as played upon in Mercy Seat at Mount Gilead Baptist. A note of relief from welfare, from unemployment, from screaming, hanging, and begging neighbors. No one knows our name. Hear the wine in vats evaporating in the cold. Fall for the alleyways, snows for the cobblestones. Await time and sit still before the hard-boiled eggs roll off the plate and skinned alive. She never saw her attacker. The would-be assailant rise again, like night riders from long ago. We learn from our history. Now to inflict misery, another drive-by shooting. Woman weeps for her child, which our neighbors were gunned down. Unknown and without any words, implicated in thought, yet it was the hip thing to do for a moment's worth of attention.
Blazing in the dark, the beat of the drum becomes haunting. The beat of the drum, not like drums in the Philippine ceremonial dance with colorful clothing, or a drum pound of Klansmen coming for the kill and cripple, but like a pounding sound that speaks terror about the chest and the breast of a woman to man, a greedy, selfish pounding rhythm without reason which causes hope to become distorted. By asphyxiation, hands beat out a pound until blisters burst and rum is spilled over. Historical rum.
Goat skin head, the hunting pound of slave catchers, dressed in tribal dress with skin of brown.
Preying upon their people, their neighbors, for thirsty profit of rum to satisfy their aching souls to quench their malice.
This cry is muffled by today's standard of mask-wearing colorful tones of peachy cream tan.
Deep dark chocolate, lemon yellow beige, smooth as satin brown, and how beauty is executed.
For reasons of fear of you and deep abiding compassion and hatred of self.
Rules allowing for the promise neighbor to kill that one someone and take what you have.
Kill your beauty, kill your life, kill your spirit, and kill your breath, in a who we all excuse.
It is so normal. It is so everyday lifelike.
One generation after another, running on the rum-soaked fields of liquid narcotics dried of ignorant dreams.
Hurry home to Africa so we can kill them too.
Their spirit shattered. Was it white society's rule?
Or the fight of survival. Nevertheless, with rum running, will still drink of a spirit of greed and envy.
The rum like voodoo ventures, kissed by the devil, rum me.
Until the mind seeks the absurd journey, heretofore as taboo.
How accident, you break my fence,
I'll burn your house.
You burn my house.
I'll slit your throat.
Run, rum, you slit my throat, I will kill your spirit.
You kill my spirit. Run, rum.
I'll drown your love. Recommendations from an Oakland-born sister. Cedric used to stand with me in between classes in the new school building in the hall, stare out the window, my head under his chin, and linger. He was more pensive than I. When I saw him in 92 Manchester Avenue, he was dressed in his Sunday best, and it was obvious that he had lost the battle with overeating. Or maybe he was married now and just feeling comfortable with himself. The Cedric I knew back in '79 was so thin, his chin bone nearly pierced my scalp, and big bony hands clasped my waist as he bent down to kiss me. That was a weird love, a love out the blue. I mean, who was this skinny, tall, yellow, fine boy following me all over school, making other girls jealous? Hey, foxy lady, he called out in the cafeteria, and I'd be thinking, who, me? Is he talking to me? Finally, after weeks of this harassment, he asked me all formal like at the bus stop, will you be my lady? And I said all shy like, yes. Of course I said yes. How could I say no? He was the cutest, most popular guy in the whole school. I thought I struck gold. But I also knew intuitively that he'd be a challenge. I didn't know at age 14 that he showed me so much of himself. Didn't know I'd be holding him in my arms, all 6 feet of him, as he cried over the death of his brother. Didn't know I'd be struggling with his penis as I tried to break my hymen, or I would take pleasure in his body time and time again, just by rubbing up against it and pressing. Didn't know the power of a simple kiss. Didn't know how much I would miss him when I was forced to change my residence. Didn't know I had to wait so long, so very, very long to be forgiven for this. Didn't know that a man, or even a boy, could show such tenderness, such gentleness, such depth, until I met Cedric.
Recommendations. Arise. Arise from the broken. Lover inside of me, come out with hands raised high, as if to give praise to the lovely shouts and groans. Sing until the sky is undone. Holding up banners with stains from tears sought in fury of love and sorrow. Here is where I lingered for so long, until dirt became clay, dry and hard, likened unto my heart. Beaten by life's unfair games. Now being rained on, I continue to linger here, bathing in water, God's mercy within, holding me fast. I grasp all of it. And to listen to the hidden parts where waters run deep. Beneath your well-fortified heart, I have discovered, with only my blindness, a vein of sorrows, like that of Jesus and the woman at the well. And here lies the answer. Love, forgiveness, apologies, executions, apologies of sabotage. If I can peel away one more layer of hard-crusted skin next to where the heart breathes, then perhaps I will see all of you, even my own fears.
Melody and suffering interpreted as something those of class consciousness will not know about, other than razor-sharp intentions cutting into the spirit, which gives way for the climax to come by. Come by here, Lord.
And heal the wretched soul. Blackness of blues, excluding jazz. And day-old minstrel mans also yelling curse words. We are and have been wrestling with this shit for so long, until train blasted the tip of an atom off Injustice of Alabama. See the 4 girls being hauled out of 16th Street Baptist Church on Burns. The division is that some colored folk could care less. So come by here, Lord, and give reasoning, dear Lord. For we are a people in need of healing in the hearts, and in the mind, in the abstract, in the spirit of you are my neighbor.
Cries and moans ring out from over the river. Deep cries, the Mississippi, the Pearl, the Monongahela, Missouri, the Sacramento, the Potomac, the Cockney Straits.
Deep river in crossing, the heritage of all those which have crossed these rivers before us. And shall we separate ourselves from the newborn thuggish gangsters, colors of blood-soaked knives, box cutters, pistols, shakes, razors, plastic bags, with fire bent on annihilating all of us?
I have often wondered, just who do they work for? They celebrate the death of the movement. Thank God Train's music is still available on recordings. The funerals rage on forever and a day over there, over the river. Yet, we know there's one more river to cross.
Humming, humming, dear Lord.
Drum song, roll slow-lo. Oh yes, freedom song, roll slowly. Down river, there are truly is a 12-bar blues beat here. If you be quiet and still, you can hear it, feel it too. It is our history in the culture up from the cotton fields, rain-soaked muddy fields, shacks on stilts, and wells to draw water from. For we were not born out of the barrel of a gun nor by computers, the mindset of arrogance.
Challenge what? A Mississippi missionary sister waved her handkerchief farewell to her grandson as they rolled him down Wabash onto the Dan Ryan. Shot 7 times. 7 come 11 craps out. And all over nothing. Maybe even some cash, but not enough to write home about. Farewell, my baby, farewell. Surely there must be a Coltrane piece orchestrated for this 15-year-old child, and he wasn't even arrogant.
At the L train station, a drummer plays full set on the platform, begging he is safe. Place coins in a cup. The melody describes the 15-year-old's life. Heart-pounding beats which creates a crescendo, almost operatic to the touch. Casket closed. Case closed too.
Who am I to think that the eye can reach the arrogant, apathetic? which have divorced themselves from Ida B, DuBois, Bobby Seale, Rosa Parks, and Martin Gangster Rap as their spiritual leader? So let me give homage to them before they start blasting in my direction.
A DC night was packed. 2 horn players, thrusting out hard melodies, young dudes, real people, following like the lights of train, intense, almost collapsing on stage. Speaking of language.com, can't comprehend, biscuits, black-eyed pea crowd yelling, amen, brother. His last breath or the last note for the sermon. The drummer moved in, just like one in Chicago, a 12-bar beat in between African syncopated rhythm screaming, Jesus is coming home.
There's hope after all. Roach is still in the computer age, a faucet that leaks, a rat gnawed on the kitchen pipe, police, ambulances, and fire sirens, yelling every 3 to 5 minutes, intervals of passion. But here, these musicians are interpreting all of it, even the political state, upheaval in the chaos, 16th notes go by faster.
So young boys and young men can do jumping jacks in an unlawful laundromat with inches of snow outside. Chicago, Philly, Newport, kiss the blacktop, earthbound for all creatures. Thought buttons to press would allow them to exit or seek essentialism. See that the white snow, so pretty it is to cover the filth of the urban squeak, and still, black on black anger melts the heart of loved ones, dead on arrival.
No place for rap, hippity-hippity, hip-hoppity, nonsense of calloused hearts, to sing about being bad. Motherfucker, for it is not a homie, a dude, a dog, it's not even a nigga, but it is or was a person.
A human being which could breathe, the breath which God Almighty had put in him. For she, the Lord, most high, having created.
Giving life to that individual to exist here on earth, which came out of a woman's womb, God at work.
Birth from a woman, not a bitch, but real people with soul and spirit.
Tambourine snap and sound, second line fall into formation. Be it New Orleans or Los Angeles, Oakland, Baltimore, Chicago, it's the same black anger bellowing, misguided fury, and it became by any means necessary.
So in the absence of love, the horn player now plays a sad serenade, a requiem of lost and gone forever, the choir having already sung at church house, peace be still.
I'm wondering if young minds get it, or do they still satisfy themselves with text messages of, it was a whole lot of people at the funeral. The thrill of seeing a mother weep, a father crying, the young minds removed from the gruesome reality of life in the real realm, of death. All the second line musicians stand with heads bowed. Silence, please.
For someone has lost someone they cared about, a loved one, a friend, a cousin, perhaps a son or daughter, a 2-year-old baby, and it's out of place, even uncouth to punch buttons here at the funeral with pants sagging.
Sanaya is still sounding the drum, 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 words which pound, beat, pound, attempting to break through the I, me, but black on black doesn't identify with us as us. Collective movement, Sonia sees, Rasan, Roland, Kurt sees, Cornell sees. The question is, do they see with their third eye? Glitter all over the tennis shoe. That's all that's important here. Lights flashing, train left station for Coltrane truly was. Young minds, listen, and you might see it too. Understanding don't come easy, neither cheap, for we really are in need of a love supreme to cover all our ills, our filth, our sorrows, our sins.
Sanaya, sound the alarm. Call out the ancestors. Pay homage. E.B. Redman, let them know. There's one more river to cross. So young hearts might grasp the effects of real versus unreal, God versus degradation, and give the drummer and horn player applause, for they are presenting a mirror, telling us we need hope and loving kindness.
Instead of a death wish for the self-servicing narcissistic mindset.
Touch somebody's life with your goodness. Touch somebody's life with your love. Touch somebody's life for that's the only way to show the master's love. Why don't you touch somebody's life with your goodness? Touch somebody's life with your love. Touch somebody's life with understanding, for that's the only way to show the master's love. Why don't you touch somebody's life with your mercy? Touch somebody's life with your peace. Touch somebody's life with your joy. It's so amazing how your own life will increase. So why don't you touch somebody's life as you pass them?
Yes, sir.
You may never pass this close again. It's not far. Reach out and touch somebody. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised just how soon that same touch, that same kiss, that same hug,
Yes, sir.
we'll come right back to you.
Conclusion by Wanda Sabir. Trees falling in urban forests do not make any sound. Like mummies, they move telepathically. When Ludi Johnson, protagonist in Anne Petry's classic Gothic tale, The Street, set in 1950 New York, realizes that Boots was stringing her along, that his soul was already in the pocket of the gray man in the mirror. Juanito, she feels cornered without hope. How could she possibly get ahead, achieve the American dream, if at every juncture she finds a locked door only pussy will get her through? With the advice of her grandmother ringing in her ears, never let a white man touch her, and acknowledge that this also pertains to black men, especially the creepy ones like Jones, the super. Ludi feels trapped. When Boots locks the door and starts pushing her down, his intention clear, Ludi grabs a candlestick and begins to strike the man. He becomes all the closed doors, all the dead ends, all the eyes that undressed her on the subway, all the creepy shadows lurking in the hallways, ready to jump out of the darkness at her. In her rage, he is just a convenient effigy, a container to hold her outbursts. Dead. Boots is not important enough to appear on the front page news. He is easy enough to erase from memory in a day or two. It was just another instance of black-on-black violence. It causes black-on-black anger, or was it? Perhaps the violence was a convenience, a convenient response to the apathy and cowardice of white supremacy and structural racism allows its victims. Larger than one imagination can hold, if grasped at all, the black rage is simply internalized oppression. The anger happens when logic is applied to a situation beyond what is real. Ludi Johnson thought that there was no order to the madness. She thought if she worked hard, lived an upright life, obeyed the laws of the land, that she could have a safe, clean, and nurturing environment to raise her child, a good job, decent food, money in the bank, safety. This world, which she observed while working for a rich white family in the suburbs, was not for her. All she was allowed were the mean streets of Harlem, 116th Street to be precise, a place where dreamed paper-thin, timid walls to keep the cold air at bay. These barriers proved ineffective against the inclement weather, even after multiple coats were applied. So what is the conclusion? Read a different newspaper, add more comic pages, use better glue sticks. The conclusion lies in the absent facts. What did Ludi have to endure to get where she is? How much laundry did the young mother have to wash and fold and iron before she finished night school and then took the state exam and then had to wait for its results and then wait for more, a job? Did you know her husband left her too? No matter how good or together the other black person looks, we don't know the backstory, so be kind, especially when your first thought is otherwise. Will that save a life? Is black life worth saving? Boots was angry. He sold his soul, so he decided he'd rape Ludi before passing her on. What if he'd just given her the money she requested to pay an attorney to get her son out of trouble? What if he sat on a fire hydrant and counted slowly to 100, then got up and walked in a direction opposite of the rage? What if he said no? I am not going to sell out my sister no matter what the cost. The cycle might have been broken for a moment at least, but Boots is dead. These what ifs or what fors are alternative conclusions in a tale all too familiar, all too true. Ludi takes money from a dead man's wallet and buys a one-way bus ticket. As she leaves town, she thinks about her young son, Bub, whom she promised to visit the next day. He is scared. Locked up, she is his only hope. Violence unspeakable once again haunts her. Murder, rage, abandonment, despair, and the cycle repeats when Bub learns his mother is gone. The next chapter is not written, but then again, it is. We know how the sequel will begin and end. Ludi, Bub, Boots, nosy Mrs. Hedges, men, even Jones represent the epitome of black on black anger. We cannot control the paradigm, but we certainly can control with discipline how we respond. Black life does matter, and when one takes a life, art is demised that much more. Ludi caught a bus out of town. She thought about her young son, Bub, whom she was leaving behind in a juvenile home. Violence unspeakable once again haunts her. Murder, rage, abandonment, despair. This historical burden of brotherhood contributes to the black community's distrust of powers that be. If I cannot turn to the authorities to implement fair play, then I must turn somewhere else. This leaves many black communities ripped from anti-snitching campaigns that we have seen and adds another weight on the backs of blacks who are already carrying a heavy load. This leads to all of our unsolved murders of the inner city at the hands of a bigger child who takes matters into his own hands.
The dilemma.
Conclusion, the dilemma. Tales of crumbling to succeed in the tragedy of hope dismantled. A blemish played upon, not boxcars, house of deuces, or craps out, but a life and death struggle. Musically, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 36, 16. Cold train, cold train. Hear that train a coming. injury to our tears. That's musical too. So eliminate the I, comma, 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 I. I of the self, off the selfish grin, creating I's own injustice, off the selfish greed, running so much so until insanity takes over hatred of love. Now bend to the detour sign, leaving vanity, to frustrate apathy, moving mad against ignorance on molded blacktop, defined as asphalt, still black, and but not stillborn, a beam of light equal to that broken white line, which can be boring to follow in life. Give into giving. Give into the art of giving. Give into the conquest of your soul, where dreams unfold. Give into love. Give into love and being loved. Give into love or else or who else. Give into charity. Give into the act of charity. Give into the charity of the heart. Can we give? We as a people, we have no choice. Give or disintegrate. Give or disappear. Give and become. Oh yes, become. Become the all in all. Become the past and the present. In the presence of the all in all, in the presence of the Almighty, to become what God would have us to be. For we be who He is. We be in the presence of the dynamics of becoming merciful. That beam of light which lights the way into mercy. Merciful to ourselves, merciful to one another, merciful to our neighbors. Mercy which leads the way into peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding.
Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all
Oh yeah.
the world thy hands have made, I see the light,
Yes, sir.
I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come,
Yes.
with shouts of acclamation to take me home, what joy shall fill my soul. Then I'll shout out with shouts of adoration, and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee.
Oh, yeah.
How
That concludes the main part of a sociological report concerning black on black anger. We have a pause for if there's a questions and answers, Q&A questions and answers. Sylvester?
Yeah, we're open for Q&A. If anybody have any questions, they have any experience or any collective thing they would like to speak on, you know, this is kind of like a collective thing we all go through as people, even if you're not black. I mean, you're witness to such things. So if you want to ask any questions or get anything off your chest, this would be the time to.
What is that in that statement about if there is no acknowledgement of a problem?
Yeah, that's, you can't cure yourself of a disease if you don't acknowledge you have a disease. You can't get away from cancer, you can't cure yourself from cancer if you just won't go in for treatment or you don't even acknowledge you have it. That's the meaning of dis-ease, you know. Dis is the Latin word for not, and ease means comfort. So having a disease being not a comfort. So we'd like everybody to leave here healed. We're here to heal and we're here to just hear you out.
I appreciated that you touched on the chain reaction of, you know, all these historical events that led up to what inspires black on black anger. You know what I mean? And then you also touched on the fact that, you know, that's the wrong focus. You know, I like the fact that you said, what message is that sending? You know, us killing each other when there's a whole world of people out there that don't like us. You know, so I really appreciate that you touched on the chain reaction.
Yes.
Beautifully presented, beautifully voiced. Was there a particular event or experience that motivated this poetry, this work?
Mr. Blackwell.
Is there was a specific event that inspired this work?
I was in a court battle. It was a family. My mother and father died, and it was a horrible experience. And the court ruled against me, and I actually wound up homeless. And I was at somebody's house, and I started writing the meat epitome of black on black anger. And this friend Odessa Bethel, I read something to her. She had helped me with the court battle. She was she had a background as a legal secretary. She was better than the lawyers I had. And so I started writing. And I read some of it to her, and she said, wow, even though you've gone through this horrible experience, your work that's coming out is really powerful work, you know. So I kept on going and tried to put it together. And I think I kind of stumbled onto something of, I didn't want to be stuck in that place of anger. I don't ever want to be that angry again. My dad's nephew threatened to kill me, and I had to call the police on the other nephew about 3 times, you know, and you know, it was just, it was horrible. And the lawyers with the tricks and everything. And so I managed to direct my energy away from, somehow, you know, moving away from the anger and started doing something creative. Jack Hirschman was here in San Francisco, and they would call Bob Booker, who was, he's at the Beat Museum. He would call and say, come, I want you to read in the North Beach. And that got me hooked up with the San Francisco, I call it the San Francisco rank and file poets. And so that was kind of my therapy, doing my self-therapy, you know. So just trying to get out of that place of anger. And so, you know, things took on a change, and I'm grateful to God that I didn't do what I almost did. When my dad's nephew threatened to kill me, I picked up something and probably would have had a one-way ticket to Folsom. I tell you, this guy that work that I didn't do what I almost set out to do. So, you know, another thing about this work is that hearing some other people talking, and if one was to write the history of Black America right now, it would be a fake and a phony and a fraud to leave out what's taking place from one end of this country to the other. Ever since probably the 80s, I lived in DC during the 80s, and the homicide rate was 540. And right now, I know people are trying to get out of Philadelphia because the homicide rate is so atrocious, in DC too. And you probably, it's all in the news, it's everywhere. About 2 years ago, Chicago was 785. And so, you know, it would be a fake and a phony and a fraud if they wrote the history and leave that out, because it's telling a story about something that's taking place in this country with the African American that's really sad, because it's almost about to wipe out everything that our forefathers, me a part of it too, we fought for, we battled for, and we kind of lost. And what is this? What is this? So anyway, that kind of like trying to present it and trying to approach the problem some kind of way.
Yes.
I want to commend you on the whole thing. I can identify, for me, as a 60-year-old person, I can identify going through those stages when I was listening. I can identify being on a bus and attacking someone. I can identify being on a school bus and attacking. I can identify being in a school when they played Roots, and I seen that. I can identify with all of it. I can identify with the passing of young youth and people, black on black, crying in the neighborhood that I was raised in the Fillmore. Seeing people get killed every day, not showing it on the news, or not seeing the police the next day asking questions about the homicides and stuff. I've seen the injustice. I've seen the injustice in my own self being abused in the San Francisco School District. So, I mean, this is very powerful. I think it needs to be pushed more out for people can really get it. You know, some people may not get it, but for me, I got it because I can identify. Some people may sit here and couldn't identify, well, why are they going through, why is it going through like that? What is that? What is that? But I can identify, I could identify, and when it was going through all the phases, I can identify my life from childhood going through it all to up to now. So, very powerful.
I think I'm a little sad by some of the question and answers, so I'm gonna ask, and I'm thinking of like the Middle Passage and all the people on the slave ships coming over that jumped off because they knew they'd be enslaved here, and then I'm thinking about all the folks who've been lynched and the folks who've endured such harsh, just realities as a black person. So if each of you could humor me by telling me what is it that you love most about being black, as we celebrate Black History Month and elevate all those contributions and what make the world better because of our existence and our resilience. I'm wondering if each of you could share that.
Laughter. Laughter is what brings laughter.
Are we allowed to think about it?
Oh, I have to think about
What do
it.
you love most about being black?
I can do that real easy. I can do that hella easy.
Okay.
I love my hair. I love my skin. I love my people. I love my music. I love my dance. I love my women. I love the way we party. I love, like the various forms we come in. I like being around my brothers. I like our history. I like the way we decorate our apartments. I still got my mama's big ass wooden spoon and milk.
Piano with the fire on it.
There you go, crying baby. Being black is like who I am. It's a big part of my identity, even though You know, there's times growing up it sucked because I wasn't known and my dad was light skinned and I was black. So, you know, you had pretty slide and you had black slide. And I was like, you know, colorism is a thing, but you know, I feel through that, you know. I was closer to my ancestors where, you know, the cousins who made fun of me that was light skinned, they now aged. I still look like I'm 25. So, I'm with it. I'll choose to be nothing else. You know, I'm black and I'm proud. And I'm proud of anybody who's in their skin. You know, my power does not mean their weakness.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Beautiful.
I have to say, my first answer is always going to be resilience. You know, I thank God for that. Couldn't get through most of it. But more than anything, I just say it's our energy. We have an energy no matter where you go, what country, where part of the planet you're on. There's an energy that you can feel in the room when a black person is in a room with you. We have conversations without even speaking to each other sometimes. We can just look like, without saying, you see that, you see that. But we gotta say a word, you know, so I love the communication. I love that we do come in different varieties of each other, even though we're all of one blend. I do like that very much. I love that we're always striving to go above and beyond whatever stereotypes are placed on us, even within our own community. You know, I love that for us. I love that we're constantly trying to break generational curses, generation after generation, you know, and still give props to our ancestors, you know, and our elders that come before us. I love that about us. I love that we are the only people who don't know their history, yet we are constantly teaching people the history of America. So, I'll pass it to my colleague on that one.
Real good, real good.
Yeah.
Without a language, we still identify ourselves, and we know us. Through our soul, through our spirit. Without having a wholeness of ourselves being passed down from dominating teaching groups, we can still feel and be in touch with our spirits and all aspects of life without being deprived of that name and how that works within ourselves. There's a nature of fullness of life that we keep separated from. No matter who tries to take it.
My folks are from Mississippi, and we used to go every summer, go back to visit and be in the backwoods of Mississippi. And I witnessed people that were I felt a little bit uncomfortable and at the same time feeling so welcomed. And I'm saying that because I saw poverty. I mean severe poverty. People that lived in a house on stilts or on blocks, you know, a hole in the floor, water running in underneath, a chicken working under it. And this was a one house, one room, shacks, you know. And people made you feel welcome. They wanted to be friends with you. Matter of fact, they're going to even offer you food, and you felt kind of like you can't take their food. But and then again, if you didn't, it was almost insulting to them. And I would go the next year, and it's almost like I had made friends. And the signs are posted. No Negroes allowed, whites only, you know. The bathroom for black folks was filthy and nasty, and the one other was clean. You know, and you, I guess having a chance to see it, and not only that, I remember about 15 to 20 people cutting sugar cane, going through an entire field of sugar cane, cutting, stacking, wrapping, and nobody was fighting. And there would be revival, going to church, believe it or not, as many as anywhere from 15 to 18 people in and on a truck. Somebody was standing on a bumper, and somebody holding their wrist or their arm, make sure they don't fall off. And by the time the truck got to the church house, here's another truck with another people. And they would stop on the way, pick them up, pick up this person, pick up that person, get in the truck, you know. And it was I have a hard time trying to understand or wrap my head around this violence that takes place. And I remember the one young man, Otis, he was living in the shack, and I went back, you know, years later after I lost part of my sight, and he spoke to me, and he had migrated to Detroit and finished at the university. And it was like, it was moving to realize that he had come up from severe poverty and went on and achieved, you know. And so I say that, last night I was at a Code Tenderloin, they had a Black History event. And it was really nice because I don't know what they do in there, I don't know everything about Code Tenderloin, but they made me feel welcome. The friendliness, people came up and spoke to me, and next thing you know, I had a plate of food. And it was the friendliness, it was like that down-home friendliness. And whatever they're teaching over there, whatever they're, however they operate the place, they need to keep on doing it because they need to spread all over this community. Because it was really welcoming and warm, and that's what's needed. I think that's the cure to the whole problem, and because, you know, like I said, I can't wrap my head around it, and that's the reason why I put this together, trying to, how do you reach and how do you teach people to, you know, be kind-hearted to one another, you know. So anyway, that's it. That's my story.
And I was just wondering if our drummer could say, just what do you love most about being Black?
A whole lot. A whole lot. First of all, our people are spiritual. We are very spiritual people.
Okay.
And before I found, first of all, you have to learn about your history in order to get an idea of who you are. And so once I started learning about my history, learning that the first bones of all mankind were found in Africa. When I was a kid in school, they didn't tell me that Egypt was a part of Africa.
Yeah.
They made me think Egypt was somewhere else outside. And then later on, I found out Egypt is Africa. So those pyramids that were built 4,000 years before Christ, that's Africa. And the other thing I found out is that when our people were brought here, brutalized and persecuted for 400 years, we still don't hate people. We don't come here hating. Out of all we've been through, we were called 3/5 of a man. But after all of that, you look at all the inventions we brought for being 3/5 of a man. George Washington Carver taught rotation of crops so that you don't just mess your soil up by planting in the same place. Charles Drew brought you a blood bank. I was a medic in the Army. If it had not been for plasma, a lot of soldiers would have died on the battlefield because of lack of blood, but because they had plasma, they could give them something to help them until they could get to where they could get blood. Come out of slavery, growing the trombone, saxophone, big band, jazz, tap. We brought so much to the world, and our inventions brought so much to the world. We the one brought refrigerated trucking. We the one brought the shoe lathe, so that instead of taking all day to make one pair, you can make 50, 30 pair of shoes in a day. If you look back and learn your history, then you won't feel like everybody done something but us. We've given all so much to the world. First heart surgery, I heard we did that type of thing. There's a lady I just saw recently, gave you the GPS, a black woman. There was this movie called Hidden Colors, where this lady did hand. She didn't have a computer. She wrote all of her equations and stuff on the wall and helped with the doggone space program. So we are not to feel that we have not contributed. We have contributed, and my sister said, still I rise. You can beat us down, but I look at it like this. When I was a kid, we have tubs of water, and you have your balloon, you put the balloon down in the water, you push it down, and pop back up on the other side. And that's the way we are, still we rise. So we don't, that song I said, touch somebody's life with some love. Touch somebody's life with a smile. You see these people sitting around on the ground, look at them. Get eye contact. Let them know that it's very emotional to me.
They're
Let them
people.
know that there are people.
Don't dehumanize.
That don't dehumanize.
Right.
I don't care what your race, creed, color, your gender. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Show some love. This need to be a better place that we live in, and it can be. But it starts with you. Start with us. Take care of your spiritual, mental, and your physical. Do all that and love somebody. Touch somebody, because the song says not that far. We're close to one another. Love one another. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
This is coming from somebody, James, who has seen blood and guts on top of blood and guts on top of blood and guts. He was a medic in Vietnam. And this brother's got a sound mind, and you heard him. I mean, because most of the people I know, cats I knew, that I would listen to because I was young and silly too, they got drafted into Vietnam, came back, and their life was destroyed.
Yeah.
This brother is of sound mind, and by the grace of God, he is what he is. And I mean, like I said, he's seen blood and guts on top of blood and guts. So anyway, that's coming from me.
For me, for
Thank
being
you all
black,
so
I'm proud to be black is because like, I was raised, I wasn't taught about racism or anything. And when I was 7 years old, I had a best friend, was Asian, her name was Judy. And Julia was a Caucasian girl. And I remember going to her house. She wanted me to go to a fair with her. And so she wanted me to spend the night, so I was able to spend the night. But when we went to the dinner table, they realized that I was African American. And you know, they spoke Spanish too, so you could hear them talking. And then they said, oh, you go to bed. So we went straight to bed. And then before the sun rose, she was like, I said, are we going to the fair? She said, no. She said, we had changed our mind. And so I was escorted back, you know. She walked with me back to my grandmother's house. But I remember, you know, after realizing what had happened, that, you know, I retaliated against her. But today, what I do is, for my children, I have a daughter that's at UCLA. And so I installed in my children, so thank God for phones. Because my daughter, when she gets frustrated, she calls me. Like, you know, and it still goes on today, you know. So I empower my children. She says something in the classroom, but because of her color, it's not accepted. But when someone else says it, it's accepted, and she said the same thing. And so what I encourage her is to don't give up, you know, because they want you to fail. Because a lot of people that are not our nationality are taught that, oh, they're nothing, and being raised up. They're not supposed to know none of that stuff. They're not supposed to be smart. They're used to being on the corner or something like that. So I empower my daughter to hold her head up and not to give up. Do not let them chase you away. And I told her when she had a problem with her TA, I told her to go back when she's calmed down and let him know, hey, I said the same thing and it's not fair. To stand up for herself, to stand up for her blackness, you know. So that's where I come in as a parent. I'm proud to be a parent, a black parent, to embrace and empower my children on the culture of what happens and what continues to happen here in the United States, in our cities, in our neighborhoods, just to keep on empowering them to, you know, stand up and to even continue to not trip, but go to the, you know, show them that you don't have to go to that level, because everybody always thinks, oh, if they acting like that over there in the news, oh, they all act that way. So yeah.
There's a textbook that actually states, it is a modern textbook, that states that African Americans lack emotional control. There's also another textbook that states that there is something within the black male that is malleable enough for them to go out and be molded into whatever you want them to be. You know what I mean? So they're putting these lies that they're saying are scientifically backed up in textbooks for people to sit there and believe. So then what they're doing is they're instilling a sense of self-hatred. that has been reinforced since, you know, whoever decided, oh, that person is not worthy of being used. You know what I mean? So that might be part of what causes this whole black on black anger, because we have been taught to hate ourselves. And then since we've been deprived of resources, all those things that humans need in order to actually, you know, be part of the world and be seen as a human being, that also contributes to that as well, you know. I just thought that's something.
I just want to make sure y'all have that. Okay.
Yeah.
And so for closing remark, because I do want everybody to leave here with hope in their heart, not with heavy hearts, you know what I'm saying? This conversation was tabled here to have a conversation. It was to bring awareness, not just to ourselves, but to others as well. So 2 things for each group that I'm gonna give to y'all to leave here that will hopefully bring you some hope in your life. For the black people in the room, I want you to ask yourself, what ancestral trauma do you have stored within you that you need to heal? And then look in the mirror, go home and heal that, or go home and ask your grandmother or your mother, hey, why has this been going on in our family? Why has alcoholism been going on in our family? Why do we have anger issues? Why we don't talk to cousin so-and-so? You know what I'm saying? Go heal whatever ancestral hurt you have in your family, because that's what's going to help the next generation, and that's what's going to make black people move better and forward. And those of you who are not black in this room, I want you to go and ask yourself, how can I make somebody feel seen? How can I make somebody else feel heard today? How can I make somebody else feel like they're a light or that they matter as well? And let me not, you know, over-exude my privilege in a space where other people don't feel seen at all. And I just want everybody to go home and think about that. How can we be a better light to each other? How can we be a better community to each other? And how can we be a better family to one another? Because at the end of the day, we're all one. We are all one spiritual being here on this planet having a human experience. And it should never be to the point where somebody else feels inhumane, like they don't matter, that they're not a part of this world. We are one. And with that, I just want to leave y'all with love. So much love. That's it. Thank you.